My dad stood in my hospital room, his back to my bed, whispering to my stepmother like I wasn't even there. I heard every word. "She won't notice for months," he said. My stepmother laughed softly. 300 grand just sitting there. It's practically wasted on her. They chuckled together, comfortable and casual, like they were discussing the weather. Then my phone buzzed on the bedside table. A fraud alert. I opened my banking app with shaking fingers and felt the blood drain from my face. I whispered, "Dad, why is my account empty?" He turned around. His face went pale. And that's when everything changed. My name is Danielle Carter. I'm 34 years old. I work as a freelance graphic designer, running a small remote business from my apartment. I've been doing it for over a decade now, building a client list one project at a time, designing logos and branding packages and websites for small businesses across the country. It's not flashy. There's no corner office, no company car, just me, my laptop, and a lot of late nights. In my family, that meant I was basically unemployed. They called it playing on the computer. My stepmother once told a room full of relatives that I did little art things online for pocket money. Nobody corrected her. Nobody ever corrected her. I was the quiet one. The one who worked from home, who didn't post vacation photos or drive a new car every 2 years. I lived modestly. I bought groceries on sale. I kept my rent low. I didn't go out much. And every single month, I put money away. Every single month, without fail, for years. My dream wasn't complicated. I wanted to buy a small house. Something with a little yard, maybe a garden. A place that was mine. A place where I could feel stable and safe. That dream kept me going through the long hours and the low seasons when clients were scarce. By the time I turned 33, I had saved just over $300,000. It wasn't inherited. It wasn't gifted. It was earned one invoice at a time. Then I got pregnant. It was unexpected, but I was happy. I started planning a nursery in the house I hadn't bought yet. But at 20 weeks, complications hit. My doctor put me on strict Bedrest. I couldn't work full-time. I could barely move without risking something going wrong. I was stuck in a hospital bed, then at home, then back in the hospital again. I was vulnerable. And my family knew it. My father ran a small contracting company. He'd done okay for himself, not great, but okay. My stepmother, Linda, had married him when I was 15. She brought her son, my half-brother Tyler, into the picture, and from the moment he arrived, the family dynamic shifted. Tyler was loud, athletic, confident. Everything I wasn't. He was praised constantly. Every report card, every baseball game, every small achievement was celebrated like a national holiday. I was the backup. The responsible one they called when they needed something. Help with taxes. Fixing a computer. Lending money for an emergency that somehow never got repaid. And I did it. I did it because I believed that's what family meant. Years earlier, when I first opened my savings account, my dad asked me to add him as an authorized user. Just in case something happens to you, he said. Emergencies only. I trusted him. I trusted him completely. I wasn't rich. I wasn't glamorous. But I had something they didn't expect. Patience and records. If you've ever been underestimated because your job doesn't look impressive, or because your lifestyle seems small and quiet, then you already understand part of this story. I spent years saving money slowly while the people around me assumed I was barely getting by. They looked at my apartment and my secondhand furniture and decided I must be struggling. Nobody bothered to look closer. If you've ever worked quietly while people assumed you were failing, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to know, has your family ever dismissed your career or your effort just because it didn't match their idea of success? Share your story below, because sometimes the quiet ones are the ones paying the closest attention. The fraud alert came through at 11:42 at night. I remember the exact time because I had been lying awake in that hospital bed, uncomfortable and restless, scrolling through my phone to distract myself from the anxiety of my pregnancy. The notification was simple. Unusual activity detected on your account. I opened my banking app and tapped on my savings account. The number on the screen didn't make sense. $4,218. I blinked. I refreshed the page. Same number. My balance that morning had been $312,000. I had checked it just 2 days ago out of habit, the way I always did, the way someone does when they've spent a decade building something brick by brick. Now it was gone. Nearly all of it. Gone. My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. My first thought was that someone had hacked my account. Some stranger, some scammer on the internet. I called my father immediately. It was late, but I didn't care. He picked up on the fourth ring, his voice groggy and annoyed. "Danielle, it's midnight." "Dad, something happened to my account. My savings account. Almost everything is gone. Over $300,000. There was a pause. A beat of silence that lasted just a fraction too long. Then he said, "That sounds like a bank error. Those things happen. Just call the bank in the morning." "A bank error doesn't take $300,000, Dad. You'd be surprised. Look, you're stressed. You're supposed to be resting. Just handle it tomorrow." He hung up. He actually hung up on me. I couldn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, my mind racing, my heart pounding so hard I was worried about my blood pressure and my baby. The next morning, I called the bank. I spent 2 hours on the phone, transferred between departments, put on hold, asked to verify my identity 3 times. Finally, a supervisor reviewed my account and told me what had happened. The transactions weren't fraud in the traditional sense. They were authorized transfers. Multiple transfers, made over a period of several weeks, all initiated using login credentials associated with a secondary authorized user on the account. My father. I asked the supervisor to repeat herself. She did. I asked her if she was sure. She was. When I called my father again, his tone had changed. He wasn't groggy anymore. He was defensive. "Danielle, I needed to move some funds around for the business. It's temporary. I was going to tell you. You took $300,000 without telling me. I didn't take it. I borrowed it. There's a difference. You borrowed it without asking. You were in the hospital. I didn't want to stress you out." The conversation went in circles. He kept insisting it was temporary, that the business needed liquidity, that he would pay it back. He never once apologized. An hour later, I received a text from Linda. It read, "Your dad needed help with business expenses. Family helps family. Don't make this into something it isn't." I stared at that text for a long time. Then a notification popped up from the family group chat. Linda had sent a message to everyone. Just wanted everyone to know that Danielle generously loaned some money to help with the contracting business during a tough stretch. So grateful for family support. I hadn't loaned anything. I hadn't agreed to anything. I hadn't even been asked. They had taken my money while I was lying in a hospital bed unable to move, and now they were rewriting the story so it looked like my idea. That's when I understood. They didn't just take the money because they needed it. They took it because they believed I couldn't fight back. They looked at me, stuck on Bedrest, pregnant, alone, and they saw an easy target. They assumed the quiet one would stay quiet. The days that followed were some of the most painful of my life. Not because of the money, though that was devastating, but because of how quickly my family closed ranks against me. My father called me 3 days after I confronted him. His voice was calm, almost rehearsed, like he'd been coached. "Danielle, I need you to be patient with this. The business hit a rough patch. Material costs went up. We lost a big contract last quarter. I just needed some breathing room, and I was going to put it all back before you even noticed." "Before I noticed?" I said. "You took everything I had." "I didn't take everything. You still have money in there. For $1,000, Dad. Out of $312,000. And I'll replace the rest. I just need time." He kept using that word. Time. Like time was something I owed him after he robbed me. Then Tyler called. My half-brother, 26 years old, working on and off for Dad's company when he felt like showing up. He didn't call to check on me or ask about the baby. He called to lecture me. "Danielle, seriously, relax. You'll make more of that laptop money. Dad's under a lot of pressure and you're making it worse." "Laptop money," I repeated. "Yeah, you sit at home and draw pictures. It's not like you work in an office or anything. Just chill out and let Dad handle the business side." I didn't respond. I just hung up. But something shifted inside me that day. The sadness didn't leave, but it made room for something else. Something colder and more focused. I started requesting documentation from the bank. Full transaction histories. Transfer records. Dates, amounts, destination accounts. Everything. I asked for it all in writing. I saved every email. The following week, there was a family gathering at my father's house. A Sunday barbecue, the kind Linda loved to organize because it gave her an audience. I couldn't attend in person because I was still on Bedrest, but Linda insisted I join by video call. "We want you to feel included," she said. It became clear very quickly why she wanted me there. Halfway through the call, with a dozen relatives visible on the screen, Linda brought up the money. She did it casually, like she was mentioning a recipe she'd tried. "We're all so grateful that Danielle stepped up to support the family business. It really shows what family is about." She looked at the camera. Right at me. "Danielle, do you want to say anything about it?" Every face on that screen turned toward the camera. Waiting. She was putting me on the spot in front of everyone. She wanted me to confirm the lie. To smile and nod and play along so the story would become official. I could feel my pulse in my throat. "I didn't volunteer that money," I said quietly. "It was taken from my account without my knowledge." The screen went still. Linda's smile tightened. "Danielle, honey, that's not how your father explained it." And Uncle I barely spoke to chimed in. "Come on, Danielle. Your dad's been working hard his whole life. You can't spare a little help." And Aunt added, "Don't be selfish. Family takes care of family." I was outnumbered and outmaneuvered. They had already accepted Linda's version of events. I was the villain now. The selfish daughter who wouldn't help her own father. After the call ended, I sat in the silence of my apartment for a long time. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up the bank records again. There were more transfers than my father had admitted to. He told me it was a few transactions, maybe 5 or 6. The bank records showed dozens. Some were small, a few $100s here and there. Others were massive. 10,000, 20,000, 35,000 in a single transfer. They were spread across weeks, routed to accounts I didn't recognize. Something was very wrong. This wasn't a struggling business borrowing emergency funds. This was systematic. Calculated. I stopped calling my father. I stopped answering Linda's texts. I stopped arguing, stopped explaining, stopped defending myself. I went quiet. Not because I had given up. Because I had started preparing. There was someone I hadn't spoken to in years. A college friend named Eric Townsend. We'd been close during our freshman year, bonded over late-night study sessions and bad cafeteria food. He went into accounting. Specifically, forensic accounting. The kind of work where you trace money through layers of transactions to find out where it really went and who really spent it. I found his contact information online and sent him a message. I kept it simple. "Eric, I need professional help. Someone I trusted drained my savings account. I have bank records. Can you look at them?" He called me within an hour. He remembered me, and he listened without interrupting as I explained everything. Then he said, "Send me everything you have. Every statement, every transfer record, every screenshot. I'll run a full trace." I sent it all that night. 3 days later, Eric called back. His voice was different now. Careful and measured, the way someone speaks when they're about to deliver bad news. "Danielle, this is worse than you think." The transfers totaled 47. 47 separate transactions across multiple accounts. Some went to my father's business account, which I expected. But others went to personal credit cards. 2 went to a luxury furniture retailer. 1 went directly to a car dealership. Several transfers were made to accounts in Linda's name. And the part that made my stomach drop. Several of the transfers occurred after I confronted my father. After he told me he would stop. After he promised it was temporary. He kept taking money even while he was telling me he'd pay it back. Eric walked me through the timeline carefully. He showed me how the transfers were spaced out to avoid triggering larger fraud alerts too quickly. They were deliberate. Methodical. Not the desperate moves of a man keeping his business alive. The moves of someone who believed he would never be caught. What they didn't know, Eric said, is that every single transfer left a digital trail. Bank routing numbers, timestamps, destination accounts. None of it disappears. You just need someone who knows where to look. I spent the next week building a file. I organized every transaction by date. I matched each one to text messages and phone calls from my father and Linda. I cross-referenced their social media posts with the transfer dates. A $35,000 transfer on March 12th. Linda posted about new living room furniture on March 15th. A $20,000 transfer on April 3rd. My father posted a photo of Tyler's new work truck on April 7th. It was all there. Every lie. Every dollar. Every trail they forgot to cover. I saved it all to a secure drive and made 2 backups. Then I waited. Because timing mattered more than anger. Eric came over to my apartment the following week with a printed report and a flash drive. He sat at my kitchen table and spread out the documents while I sat propped up on the couch, still on modified bedrest, but able to move around more carefully now. Here's what we have, he said. He walked me through the full forensic breakdown. 47 transfers. 14 different destination accounts. Combined total just under $308,000. The remaining balance in my account was left over only because one transfer had been declined due to a daily limit. This isn't borrowing, Eric said. This is financial exploitation. The pattern is textbook. Small amounts first to test whether anyone notices, then larger amounts once they felt safe. He'd organized everything into a clean, professional report. Transaction dates. Amounts. Routing numbers. The names attached to the receiving accounts. Screenshots of corresponding social media posts and text messages. It was thorough and it was devastating. Meanwhile, my family was acting like nothing had happened. My father had stopped calling me entirely. Linda continued posting on social media as if the world was perfect. She shared photos of a new SUV, white with leather seats, parked in the driveway of their house. She captioned it, "Blessed and grateful." I stared at that photo for a long time. My money paid for that. My years of careful saving. My late nights designing logos for $50 while they called it playing on the computer. Tyler posted a video of himself grilling steaks in the backyard, and in the background I could see new patio furniture and a freshly paved driveway. My money. All of it. My money. Eric could see it on my face. He didn't push. He just said, "When do you want to do this?" I thought about it. My father's anniversary party was coming up in 3 weeks. He and Linda were celebrating 15 years of marriage, and they'd invited the entire extended family. It would be a big event, catered, decorated, the kind of party Linda lived for. "The party," I said. Eric nodded. "I'll have everything ready." The anniversary party was held at a rented hall on the east side of town. Linda had gone all out. White tablecloths, floral centerpieces, a DJ playing soft music in the corner. There must have been 60 or 70 people there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, people from my father's work. Everyone dressed up and smiling. I arrived quietly. I was still recovering, moving slowly, but I was there. I wore a simple black dress and carried a small bag with my laptop inside. A few relatives noticed me and seemed surprised. "Danielle, you made it," one aunt said. "We didn't think you'd come." "I almost didn't," I said. I found a seat near the back and watched. My father was in his element, shaking hands, laughing loudly, playing the generous host. Linda was glowing. She moved through the room like she owned it, accepting compliments, refilling wine glasses, basking in every moment. Halfway through the evening, Linda took the microphone. She gave a speech about family, about loyalty and unity, about how their marriage had survived because they always supported each other. "Family is everything," she said. "And everything we have, we built together." The room applauded. My father kissed her on the cheek. I felt the weight of my laptop bag on my lap. When the applause died down, my father noticed me sitting in the back. He smiled, that big, public smile he saved for audiences. "Hey, everyone, look who finally left the laptop cave," he said. "Danielle, glad you could make it, sweetheart." A few people laughed politely. I stood up. Slowly. I walked to the front of the room. "Actually, Dad, I have something I'd like to share. If you don't mind." He looked confused, but gestured for me to go ahead. Probably thought I was going to give a toast. Eric stepped in from the side entrance. He carried a small laptop and a cord. He walked to the projector that Linda had set up for a slideshow of family photos and plugged in. The screen changed. The first image was a bank statement. My bank statement. "What is this?" Linda said. I didn't look at her. I looked at the room. Over the past several weeks, 47 transfers were made from my personal savings account. I did not authorize any of them. Eric clicked to the next slide. A list of transactions appeared. Dates, amounts, destination accounts. One by one, line by line. The room went silent. Each of these transfers was initiated using my father's login credentials, I said. He was added to my account years ago for emergencies. He used that access to take $308,000. My father's face had turned a deep red. Danielle, this isn't the place. Where's the place, Dad? Because when I tried to talk to you privately, you told me to be patient. When I told the truth on a family video call, I was called selfish. Eric clicked again. A new slide appeared. Screenshots of Linda's social media posts next to the corresponding transfers. The SUV. The furniture. The patio renovation. Each purchase dated within days of a large withdrawal from my account. Gasps rippled through the room. Linda grabbed my father's arm. Make her stop. Eric clicked once more. The final slide showed text messages. My father's messages telling me it was temporary. Linda's message saying family helps family. And the transfer records showing money continuing to leave my account after every single one of those conversations. I turned to my father. My voice was steady and clear. You didn't borrow my money. You stole it. While I was in the hospital. While I was pregnant. While I couldn't even stand up. He opened his mouth. It was authorized. I had access. Having access doesn't mean having permission, I said. And these messages prove you knew I didn't agree. I held up my phone. I also have recorded phone calls. Would you like the room to hear those too? He said nothing. Linda said nothing. The room said nothing. The DJ had stopped the music. The only sound was the hum of the projector fan and the quiet breathing of 70 people who had just watched a family fall apart in real time. The fallout was immediate. Within a week, my father's own brother confronted him and demanded answers. Two of his longest-standing clients pulled their contracts after word spread through the community. His reputation, the one thing he had always protected above everything else, was cracked open for everyone to see. Linda's image collapsed even faster. The relatives who had praised her speech about family unity were now the same ones calling her a thief behind her back. Her social media went quiet. The posts about blessings and gratitude disappeared overnight. My father was forced to sit across from my attorney and sign a formal repayment agreement. Every dollar, documented and scheduled. It wasn't optional. Eric's forensic report made sure of that. The evidence was too clean, too detailed, too overwhelming to dispute. I removed my father from every account I owned. Every login, every authorization, every thread of access he ever had. Gone. Permanently. I used part of the recovered money to secure a small apartment closer to my doctor. A safe, quiet place where I could focus on my health and prepare for my baby. It wasn't the house with the garden I'd dreamed about. Not yet. But it was mine. Truly mine. The hardest part of all of this wasn't losing the money. Money can be recovered. Accounts can be rebuilt. The hardest part was realizing that the people who raised me, who were supposed to protect me, looked at me lying in a hospital bed and saw an opportunity. They believed I was too weak to fight back. Too quiet to push back. Too small to matter. They thought Bedrest meant helpless. They forgot it also meant I had time to watch everything. If you've ever trusted a family member with access to your money and lived to regret it, I want you to know that you're not alone. Financial betrayal by someone you love is one of the most painful things a person can go through because it isn't just about dollars. It's about the destruction of trust you thought was unbreakable. I'm asking you honestly. Have you ever trusted a relative with money and had that trust broken? Did someone close to you take advantage of your generosity or your vulnerability? I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell your story. Not because it's easy, but because someone else scrolling through these comments needs to know they aren't the only one. This community is built on real stories from real people, and every time you share, You help someone else feel less invisible. If this story hit close to home, click share. Send it to someone who needs to hear it. Help it reach the person who is lying in their own version of that hospital bed right now, wondering if they're crazy for feeling betrayed. Click share to help this story reach others who need it.